Back in 2012, early 2013, Robert Earl Price, our mutual friend, poet and playwright, came to me and said, I've always wanted to write a musical. I think you could work with me and we could do this together. His idea was to build a musical around the writings of Jean Tooner, who's a DC native, considered the author of probably the earliest Harlem Renaissance novel, a modernist novel called Cain, which was really the result of some time Tooner spent in early 1920s as a principal in a small school in a small southern Georgia town. He was someone who was from a more middle class or privileged background in the DC community, and experiencing Southern black life was somewhat shocking to him. And his book is really a gorgeous piece of writing. The musical that we created is based on one of the stories in Cain called Blood Burning Moon. It's a very dark story. And we've taken that story and interwoven themes that dovetail with the Great Migration. We have the benefit of history, and we know what happened over many generations and how that southern small sharecropping life changed over time. And what any songwriter is enamored of and challenged by the idea of telling a complete story with music. And my first goal was to write good music. My first goal was to write music that you will leave singing, because any songwriter really wants you to inhabit that music and for that music to inhabit you.
Rattle them chains, rattle them chains, rattle them shackles on the wall. Rattle them chains, rattle them chains, rattle them shackles on the wall. One too many legacies, one too many fine homes, handed up that family tree on roots tangled in black man's bones.
First, he really created the characters and the main idea behind the story in a variety of sort of scripts that have changed over time. We sometimes just sit down and talk our way through the story over and over again to make sure we're going in the right direction. Early on, he gave me sort of a rough script and a description of the characters, and I went back and started writing songs for each of those characters. And then we would sit down maybe every other week or so. I'd say, okay, here's what I've got now. And I was able to show him. And then over time, once we had a good group of songs together, we invited some friends to sit in. And I would kind of hack them out on the piano and play them. And we'd get some feedback. And once we had 15, 16 songs, that's when we decided to do our initial concert performance.
When they ask you how you got your name, you best have a tale to tell. Well, this is mine, and I hope you'll find I told it well. I told it well.
And we ended up selling out 2 shows at the Garfield, and people stayed for feedback, for talkback sections after each one. And we've still been going on the enthusiasm and the love and the energy that came out of those performances, because the community just embraced it.
The sea bore the ship, and the ship bore her, and somehow she bore me, and somehow she bore me.
We performed our show several times as a concert, and we submitted it to the New York International Fringe Festival. We were accepted, and so we'll be performing 5 shows in Lower Manhattan sometime in August of this year. We're excited about it. We're going to perform a version of the musical showcase we did here at the Garfield Center for the Performing Arts. That means 11 performers on stage, plus probably about 4 crew members. Wow. So our biggest challenge is figuring out how are we all going to get to New York City and put everybody up while we do these shows. So performing with us will be Karen Somerville, Lester Barrett Jr., and Jerome McKinney, who make up the trio Symbarkin. We have collaborated with them often. In addition will be my 5-piece band, which includes Nevin Dawson on viola and violin, Philip Dutton on piano, Ford Schumann on guitar, and Bob Ortiz, of course, on percussion. We will also be joined by Ray Anthony on drums, Tom Anthony on bass. And I'm really excited that that entire core of performers who began at the Garfield, performed at the Walters, is now going together to New York. That says a lot, because many shows recreate their entire cast every time they do a performance. And for us, this has been a real collaborative creation. I think of this as a comet with a really big tail, and I'm thrilled that we are bringing our Kent County artists to New York City. I was thrilled last year when we brought our Kent County artists to the Walters Art Museum to perform the special celebration concert for the Public Justice Center. I'm even more thrilled that New York City will get to hear some of the fantastic, really vibrant and rich voices that come out of the Eastern Shore.